What if I told you that one of America's most celebrated scientists, the man who mapped the Western frontier and earned his place among the elite, was living a lie? He wasn't just hiding a small secret. No, Clarence King, the renowned geologist, was living a double life so shocking that it wouldn't be revealed until his dying breath. This is the story of the man who passed as black to marry the woman he loved while the world knew him as a famous white explorer. Clarence Rivers King was born in 1842 into a life of privilege. Educated at Yale, King had a sharp intellect and an adventurous spirit. It wasn't long before he became a rising star in the field of geology, gaining widespread acclaim in the 1860s for leading the U.S. geological exploration of the 40th peril. King's work was groundbreaking. He charted vast unknown territories, mapping the rugged landscape of the American West. This was an era of manifest destiny, where the frontier represented both opportunity and danger, and King was at the forefront of it all. By the late 1870s, King was appointed to the first director of the U.S. Geological Survey, a position that placed him among the most prominent intellectuals of his time. To the world, Clarence King was the quintessential American success story, a man of science, exploration, and intellect. But behind this illustrious career, King was hiding a second life, one that no one could ever imagine. In 1888, while leading an extraordinary public life, King crossed paths with a woman who would change everything, Ada Copeland, a former enslaved woman living in New York City. Ada was strong, intelligent, and beautiful. She captured King's heart, but the societal boundaries of the time made their love impossible. You see, interracial marriage in the 19th century America was taboo, and even more than that, illegal in many states. Clarence King, a white man of significant stature, would have never been able to openly marry a black woman without causing a scandal. So what did he do? King made a choice that would alter the course of both their lives. He would adopt a new identity. King became James Todd, a black Pullman porter, an occupation that allowed him to blend in with New York's African American community. Under this identity, he married Ada in 1889, and for the next 13 years, Clarence King led a double life. To Ada, he was a devoted black husband and father, a man who worked hard to provide for his family. She had no idea that James Todd was in fact one of the most famous white men in America. Clarence King's deception was nothing short of extraordinary. He managed to keep his two worlds entirely separate. By day, King was an esteemed geologist mingling with the intellectual elite, attending high society events and contributing to the field of science. By night, he was James Todd, a working-class black man living a modest life with Ada in New York. But as the years passed, the weight of the lie must have been unbearable. King was not simply lying to the public, he was lying to the woman he loved. He lived in constant fear of being discovered, and yet he continued to navigate both worlds with astonishing precision. While society saw him as a brilliant white scientist, King faced the harsh realities of racism when he was with Ada, experiencing the limitations imposed on Black Americans at the time. His life was a paradox, one of privilege and one of oppression, and remarkably, he maintained this deception for over a decade. By the turn of the century, Clarence King's health and finances were beginning to fail. His once thriving career had slowed, and the pressure of living a double life began to take its toll. The weight of his secret, the guilt of deceiving Ava, and the relentless strain of maintaining two identities were becoming too much to bear. In 1901, as King lay on his deathbed, he finally broke down. The secret he had kept for 13 long years could no longer remain hidden. In a letter, he confessed everything to Ada. The man she had loved, lived with, and raised children with was not who he claimed to be. He wasn't a black man named James Todd. He was Clarence King, one of the most renowned white men in America. Imagine the heartbreak and confusion Ada must have felt. For over a decade, she had built a life with a man she believed she knew, only to discover her entire marriage had been a lie. The man she thought was a humble porter was in fact a wealthy scientist. But despite the deception, there was no denying that King loved her. He had risked everything: his career, his reputation, even his identity, just to be with her. After King's death, Ada was left to make sense of the man she had loved. But in a way, his secret life was a reflection of the deep racial divides in America at the time. Clarence King's choice to live as a black man, even though he could have lived a life of privilege, underscores the impossible boundaries society placed on love, race, and identity. Clarence King's double life remains one of the most bizarre and poignant stories in American history. His public achievements as a geologist and explorer are undeniable, but it's his personal life, marked by secrecy, love, and deception, that continues to captivate us today. In the end, Clarence King lived and died as two men. He was the brilliant scientist who mapped the West, but also the husband who lied to the woman he loved. His story is one of brilliance and betrayal, a tale of a man trapped by the very society he sought to escape. His legacy is a reminder that even the brightest minds can be tangled in the darkest secrets. If you found this story as captivating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We'll continue to uncover more untold stories from history, stories that reveal the hidden truth of those who lived in the shadows of society's boundaries.